All right. Welcome back to another MMA Talk. It's quite fun trying to get the microphone set up with one arm.
1.5.
Yeah, this one still does kind of work a little bit. But anyway, while I'm doing this, I'll introduce the guests today. Over on the far left.
None of us want to help you.
No, over on the far left. Isaac Nanez, owner, proprietor, overall good guy over at Gorilla MMA. Same classes, everything else. Anything changed out of Gorilla MMA?
We're moving.
What?
Yeah, we're moving.
What?
One space over. Yeah.
So are you moving to the left then?
Yeah, away from the mechanics.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just gonna move over.
When's the move schedule? Is it soon? Is it happening the next week, or is this like a 6 month down the road?
Oh no, this is happening at the end of the month. I already paid for the new spot, so.
Same size, same it truly just kind of, you can taking everything, just kind of moving it.
The layout inside is different. It's supposed to be a surprise, but I couldn't hold it.
No surprise.
It's gonna be a lot different. It's gonna look completely different, but it's gonna look really cool. So.
But you're going to be keeping the same classes, right?
Yeah, classes, everything. Operationally, it's going to stay the same.
Which is, right now, you got kids' classes at what time?
Kids' classes 5:30. All the adult classes start at 6:30. Just message us for the details, and we'll give you all the information you need. You can get us at Gorilla MMA or 915-920-0517, and then get all the information.
And then to the more immediate left, we've got Wreck-It Randy McCarty, who has a fight, because it's fun to say it that way. Wreck-It Randy McCarty, because he's got a big fight coming up here.
Yes.
And it's in Niagara Falls, coming up towards the end of February.
Yes.
Who are you fighting?
I'm bringing his name so I don't mess up his last name. Eric the Bull Herbert.
And it's King of the Cage, correct?
King of the Cage. It won't be live, but it'll be 4 weeks later. It'll be out on MAP TV. So
what you're saying is that you get to fight at 200
pounds
for this one, which makes you kind of happy a little bit.
Yeah, well,
a little less cutting of weight.
A lot less cutting of weight. Yeah. So he normally fights at 85. He's fought at 70 a few times. So he's 5'10". Little bull is what he calls himself. So not little. He doesn't call himself little. I call him.
All right. So first thing we're going to talk about today, we got a couple of topics. We'll get to UFC 234 in a minute, but a story that's popped up over the past couple of days is Daniel Cormier not giving Stipe a rematch. Which, when you hear what Cormier has, the way that he brings it up, he kind of has a solid point, because since their fight, Cormier's fought. Yeah. Stipe has not. And so for Cormier, he's like, well, if I'm the champ, why is he getting to just sit and wait for a rematch and then kind of pitch a fit that he's not getting the rematch when I'm already fighting? I'm taking on other competition. I kind of feel like he should have to fight again before he gets a rematch, because right now he's just sitting and waiting. He needs to earn it again, I guess is what he's saying. So whose side would you take on this one? Do you think that in... Oh, and the other point that Cormier came up with too was that he's like, I beat him in one round. He's like, how much more could I do to prove, that I kick his ass? So, are you going to side with Cormier on this, where it's like, okay, I understand, Stipe should have to fight at least once, maybe twice more, and then re-earn that shot at the title? Or for Stipe, somebody who's like, well, I had the title, I had a few defenses, I should get a shot right after, not have to fight again to get that title shot. So we'll start with Randy.
Okay, my opinion is that if it was a close fight, right, and it's split decision or a decision win type thing, yeah, you should. Hey, man, these guys need to prove who won, right?
Almost a fight that could have gone either way.
Yeah, but if you beat him in one round, and Stipe is a bad man. I'm not saying he's nothing against him, but if you beat somebody in one round, yeah, fight somebody else. For two reasons. One, it'll take a question out of your own mind. Man, this dude beat me in one round. I haven't been beat that fast ever, or whatever, And then now I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna fight somebody that is not the champion, but close to it. And if I win, all right. Well, yeah, I'm still at that level, or I need to fix some things. So I see Daniel's point in that aspect.
Isaac.
Yeah, I mean, from a logical standpoint, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's obviously, and And he doesn't. I mean, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what Stipe is really saying about his defense. Just what I had the belt now.
Stipe's defense is kind of I had the belt. I mean, he was one of the longest running heavyweight title holders for a while because that belt seemed to somebody would win it in the end. Then the very next fight on their first defense, they would lose it. It just changed hands. Where he defended it, successfully a few times, and then he loses it. So I guess for him it was, well, since I was able to do that, I should get the first crack at it. But I'm kind of like, I think we might all be in agreement here. I'm seeing Cormier's point of view of, I beat him in one round. I don't really see why I should have to just give him an immediate title shot. Now, like you're saying, if it goes to decision, or even if it goes to maybe a 4th or 5th round, and somebody just gets caught or something, I could see maybe even that being a rematch-worthy event. But I mean, he took him out in the first round. Yeah. So I think that we kind of all agree, because Cormier's also said, I think his 40th birthday is coming up in March, and what he has said is that he originally wanted to retire. Like he said, at his 40th birthday, that was it. He claims he's got maybe one more fight. Dana White is saying he could see him getting back in the octagon 3 more times. So I would say cut the difference, and he's going to end up fighting 2 more times. Yeah. But at that point, I would say give Cormier another fight. Give Stipe 1 or 2, and then if he wins both of those fights, then maybe give him the rematch against Cormier. Just don't give it to Lesnar. Like, just don't fucking do that. Like I get why they would do it, because it would obviously sell the pay-per-views, because you've got the huge post-fight, kerfuffle between the two. That's I've used that twice today.
I like that word.
I've used the word twice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to incorporate.
What's that other word you used that I feel like I can't use? Wonky?
Wonky.
Yeah.
Wonky.
I feel like you two can say that word. But
it's a white word. It's totally a white word.
Yeah, if I say it though, it's not gonna.
Like, you get beat up for that.
I would, yeah. It's just not.
At least by other Mexicans.
I think that's how you should describe my shoulder. When Isaac would ask me how I'm feeling, I'm like, my shoulder feels wonky. This is what wonky looks like.
Okay, there we go. Now I have a visual. We're good. Okay.
So all right. So we're pretty much all in agreement with. We're agreeing with Cormier, and just don't give it to Lesnar. Like, if you want to, but see, that's the thing. I can understand why they would want to do it for the pay-per-view buys, but if he's complaining that Stipe hasn't earned it, what the fuck has Lesnar done recently?
Nothing.
Like, the dude did nothing for years. He kind of comes and goes as he pleases. Like, why in the fuck would he get the title shot?
You know what? If I were Stipe, the smart move is to ask for Lesnar, because that's money, first of all, and it's easy money because it's Lesnar. So, I mean, Stipe would run over him, and then, I mean, obviously, that's going to put him wherever he wants,
But the only downside to that is, I think Lesnar has said he's only going to fight once. So the UFC would be like, well, do we want to use it on a Stipe fight, or do we want to use it on a Cormier fight? And that's where I think that the pay-per-view buys would outweigh the more promising fight for Stipe. You know what I mean? I think that's where he gets stuff. But I think it's a brilliant idea for Stipe to fight Lesnar and then beat him and then move on to Cormier. So on that note, we're moving on now to UFC 234, which comes to you from the great land of Australia. So it's technically Sunday here when it's it's Sunday when it's happening, but it's airing here Saturday night because Australia is, I believe, 19 hours ahead. Mm-hmm. I've learned this because I'm doing a podcast with a dude from Australia, and we're trying to figure out like when we're going to record it. So it was 18 hours because it's a 6-hour time difference. But so if it's 11 a.m. here, it's 5 a.m. there, but it's 5 a.m. the next day. Yeah, so it's not the previous day. Future. Yeah.
And their toilets go the
wrong way too, right? I tried to ask him what the fuck happens, and he
don't they toilets spin the other way? No. I got that wrong.
Yeah, it's the equator.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so okay, good.
I've been there.
I thought it was crazy.
I actually went and looked at that because
it does.
It does not.
Then why are they telling us in school? I learned that in school.
We're gonna look this up because they did a whole episode of The Simpsons about it.
Oh my god. The Simpsons, if it happened on The Simpsons,
it's got to be real. Dude,
yes.
The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump becoming president. I thought that was a real thing. And depending on the equator, it depends on how water flows down a drain.
Yeah.
I don't think Randy believes this.
I know it doesn't happen, so I'm just laughing.
So
it's the way you put the flow in your toilet.
Well,
the water rolls this way.
That's obvious. Like if you're specifically if the jets are pushing it this way,
or drains or any other.
But we're saying is like
any other whirlpool.
Like if you have like a bowl and you poke a hole in it. It's going to rotate a specific direction.
I think Randy went
with no pushing.
I think Randy saw it go one way, but just forgot what the other way was.
You
wrote it down.
I know for a fact.
You wrote it down because you didn't write it down.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you memorized it. Opposites. Let me see here. Why does water going down a plug hole spin in one direction?
Plug
and
hole,
then,
not bath toilet.
well, that's what. Okay, that's what we're trying to say here. And so, like, obviously, if you have like
Toilets
things
that
pushing
force-
the water in one direction, it's gonna flow that
Yeah.
way. But no, it's like if you had a bowl and you poked it, and like that's your plug hole, and it starts to drain, it's gonna spin down one specific way. We got really sidetracked. Right now.
Yeah. Squirrel.
So anyway, so this fight's coming from Australia. So it's UFC. It's UFC 234, and this is the big fight. You got Robert Whittaker defending the middleweight championship against Kelvin Gastelum. These are the coaches from the previous Ultimate Fighter series.
Right.
So the two big fights I really want to get into on this one is you got Anderson Silva taking on Israel Adesanya. And Adesanya is kind of badass.
Yeah.
He's a younger Anderson Silva.
Yeah. So
They say.
like the one thing that I really like, especially on social media like Facebook and stuff like that, is that the UFC will play previous fights.
Mhm.
Like, hey, check, especially for people who some people may not know, fighters that people may not know, like Adesanya, where it's like, hey, this was his previous fight where he just, I can't remember the dude's name, I'm already blanking on it, where he just knees to the head and just completely took the guy apart. Very Anderson Silva like, very precision with his strikes, able to keep his distance, brilliant head movement, stuffed the takedowns nonstop. Like the guy could not take him down whatsoever. Like it was a very exciting fight to watch. Now you talk about Anderson Silva, a guy who not exactly lighting up the scorecard recently. He beat Derek Brunson. And that was by a unanimous decision. But his previous 5 fights before that, that was 4 losses and 1 no contest because he got pinged for PEDs. So, he lost to Cormier, he lost to Bisping, he's had the 2 losses to Weidman, and sandwiched in the middle of all of that was the victory over Nick Diaz that got taken away as a no contest. So this is the co-headlining fight for Saturday.
I would kind of argue with that, though. I think he beat Bisping, but that was just a bad call. And then Cormier was like a 3-day notice.
Mm-hmm.
So those two have like a caveat in that.
So you're saying asterisks next
onto those
losses.
Yeah.
Seeing how he fought against Bisping, Cormier, Brunson, going into this fight, who do you have? Like what kind of fight are you expecting to see? Because it's gonna. I mean, it's two brilliant strikers.
Mm-hmm.
How's Adesanya's ground game?
I don't know.
Like he's
defensive. He's a defensive grappler. I mean, he just scrambles to get out of the takedown or to get position. And he has some submissions. I saw him do some stuff, but he's not like a high level grappler. But it's a defensive. And he can use it. You can use it to set up stuff. I mean, he's adequate. He's like a C+.
You're talking about a guy here. He also just defeated Derek Brunson. So poor Derek Brunson's kind of the guy that's taking the brunt of this. But he's sitting at Adesanya's sitting at 15-0. His last fight was just this past November. And so with him coming in at 15-0, and you've got him going up against Anderson Silva, who has started to show his age at this point in the ring. Like he's clearly not the Anderson Silva that toyed with Damian Maia, was able to stand up and prevent the takedowns. And remember after that fight, Dana White was like, if he keeps doing that, I don't give a fuck who he is. We're gonna boot him out of here because that's a boring fight. Nobody wants to see that. So you get both saying stand up fight.
I think so.
Yeah.
So then who do you give the edge to?
The younger one, unfortunately. I like Anderson Silva, and I think that he's gonna do well. I think this is a fight that's good for him because he knows that the guy's not gonna sit there and shoot in and hold him down and beat him up for a long time and make him work the ground game, stuff like that. He stays fresher on his feet. But then you look at Adesanya, however you say his last name. He's dynamic, so it's gonna be an exciting fight.
Isaac?
Yeah, I think Adesanya is gonna start Anderson. He's too much. He's too big. He's huge. He has other belts in kickboxing organizations where he fought at heavyweight, and he was a good heavyweight. And he was mobile and he was strong. He brought that strength down with him. You could tell he's a strong dude, and he's just too. He's very precise, and his footwork is so good that he's always in the right place, which is something that Anderson did. He did really well, but with a bigger, stronger, younger version, it's.
You're gonna have to go with the bigger,
stronger.
Yeah,
he's getting outgunned.
Younger.
He's basically getting outgunned. I mean, it's kind of a passing of a torch kind of thing. I think maybe, and and in a very martial arts kind of like respectful way, Adesanya has to lay
Knock
him
him
out.
out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well, I mean, because Adesanya, he's got 2 inches in height. He's 6'4", and Anderson Silva sitting at 6'2".
yeah.
But that's also not to say, obviously Silva doesn't have a chance. I mean, he's got a definite chance. I mean, if he's proved anything, he can hit hard from a very short distance. I mean, look at how he knocked out. I mean, granted, Forrest Griffin, that one fight, he was already super wobbly. But that was all he did. Like that was almost all he did right there, and it put him straight on his ass.
That's a little jab.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, or ask this, I should say. And I think I already know the answer. Who's your pick?
Adesanya.
Adesanya.
All right, so I think we're gonna probably all three be picking that way, just because you guys are right. Like you're looking at Anderson Silva from 2005, maybe a little bit before that. In this kid, and I mean he's a super exciting fighter, and it does kind of suck that Silva's really starting to show his age, and we never really got to see the super fights that we wanted to see with Anderson Silva. Like Lord knows I wanted to see them, even if it was at a catch weight with GSP. Yeah, with GSP. Like that was something I was looking forward to for ages. Yeah, and we never get to you never get to see crap like that. So then coming into the final fight, this is the championship fight where Robert Whittaker, he is defending his belt against Kelvin Gastelum. It's the middleweight championship. And so first we'll look at the challenger, Gastelum. He's 5'9", and he's got a couple of back-to-back wins. He, too, has a victory over Michael Bisping. Renato Souza also defeated him in a split decision. But before that was a loss to Chris Weidman. Before that, there was it was a no contest against Vitor Belfort that he won, but he got busted for weed. Like that was truly what overturned that, which seems stupid to me. I mean that seems completely stupid to me. Yeah. To get to have a victory overturned by weed. Now, performance enhancing drugs. Is weed a performance enhancing drug? Why?
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I was like, I
was really hoping like you were serious. I'm like, dude, we're gonna get something out of Randy. This is great.
But the only thing that I could say that yes in that aspect, you don't get hurt as bad. You're like, what? You just relax and you don't have that stress.
I don't know
if that helps your performance, but
yeah, it might slow you down at the same part too.
Yeah, but I'm just being sarcastic, being argumentative because everybody says it's not. So I'm like,
no, I like that. I wanted to hear that. Damn it, I was really hoping. I was hoping you were serious. You lied to me, Randy.
Yeah.
So they're also looking over at Robert Whittaker again. Victory over on his side, Derek Brunson yet again. We should call this the Derek Brunson episode of MMA Talk. But he's coming off some pretty lengthy win streak here. Got about eight victories in a row for Robert Whittaker. Again, these were the two coaches that we saw on The Ultimate Fighter. And on The Ultimate Fighter, you know how they do the coaches competition. You could tell that Whittaker's cardio vastly superior to Gastelum's because their competition for that season of The Ultimate Fighter, it was like a marathon around just a track, and I can't remember what the distance was. It might have been a 5K or a 10K. I can't remember what it was, but it got to the point where Gastelum basically gave up. Whittaker had already lapped him. Gastelum's over in the corner puking his guts out, and Gastelum admitted he's like, cardio's not my thing. He goes, I'm a sprinter, and that's kind of the way that he looks at his fights. Like he's not in it for the long haul, or at some point he's going to have to conserve energy. So between these two fighters, and we'll start with Isaac on this one, let's start with Robert Whittaker. What kind of fighter do we see in Robert Whittaker?
Oh man, right now, honestly, Robert Whittaker is my favorite fighter. Because I mean, for both reasons, he's a martial artist in the way he approaches his training and his lifestyle. Like he's a gentleman. And he doesn't talk smack. He's a good person. But this dude, the way he fights is so cool. He's got his feet under him all the time, and he's throwing weird. Because we all know when you throw something and you kind of throw from a weird angle, you kind of have this understanding. We know like, oh, it's not gonna be as hard, but it's fun to throw it, right? So, but this guy is gonna hurt you on weird angles, and his grappling. He's strong, man. He's really just like a strong human being because his grappling isn't super technical. And his wrestling isn't super, super technical, but his angles are good, and he sticks to his fundamentals, and he's just strong. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's good. I like him. He's a good fighter. Sticking
with you, Isaac, what about Gastelum? What are you going to see from him?
Gastelum's a monster, too, man. I've trained with him. I trained with him over in Yuma, and man, that dude in wrestling, he ragdolled me. and I'm not. I mean, I'm not someone to be ragdolled on the mat
Very often.
on the mat. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't happen. He's a monster on the mat. He's good, and but his hands are real good. He's real crisp. He's got a killer cross. That left, is that kind of like yours? Like just shoots real clean because you don't even see that a lot, and it's nice. It's nice to see it, like clean too, and you see its effectiveness. So I mean. Are we predicting yet now? Are we doing
Not quite yet. You gotta wait because I gotta get Randy's thoughts
okay, cool.
So,
all right.
So we'll start with Gastelum with you, Randy. So like, is there anything that you see out of him in this fight?
Yeah, he nonstop pressure. My coach was like, "Hey, you feel like sparring Sunday?" I go, "I always spar Sunday," like 3-4 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. And he goes, "Well, I got a buddy that has a guy coming through. They're passing through, and they needed some time." I said, "Yeah, tell him to come."
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Gastelum shows up. I'm like,
He's the one that needed some time?
Yeah, and guess what? Nobody else showed up. I was so happy. It was me and him and a couple small people. I was like, I gotta go away. Me and him fought, and he's a bad man. But, like, you'll get guys and you'll throw a jab, and they'll move back, and they'll bounce around. He's always pressure forward.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure. And he can't run a 5K or whatever, but he can pressure you for 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that side of it is tough. And getting out of somebody that pressure and they get you on the ground, they can just keep punching and hold you in one position, and you're trying to get up and they're like, no.
Mm-hmm.
That's very challenging to have that type of a fight coming at you.
So then what on the Whitaker aspect of things, like do you see him, if it's the 25 straight minutes of Gastelum, is Whitaker going to be able to take that, or is he going to apply just as much, if not more pressure, the opposite direction?
I think this is one of the hardest, a hard fight to predict, because one of the hardest I've tried to, at least, because their styles, if they can pull their style off and stop the other guy by mitigating the other guys, they're going to win. It's a toss-up, in my opinion. Whitaker is an awesome man.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. I like watching him fight too. But it's just, can he put enough pressure to break Whitaker, or can Whitaker
mm-hmm.
keep his technical side and stay standing up and keep him on if they're on the ground and be on top?
Mm-hmm.
If he does that, he'll win. It's back in to me, and it's my head. I can't choose easy.
Well, now comes the big question: who you got?
I'm gonna go for Gastelum.
Go Gastelum,
just because he punched me.
Isaac?
Honestly, I think Whitaker, and for this reason, because Randy stated it right now, where it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I can go off of the fact from what I know about what I've heard as fighters about discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I know Whitaker's gonna stick to a regimen, kind of do the things he needs to do, and finish out something. And from what I've seen, done, and experienced, that's the road to success,
mm-hmm.
right? Gastelum seems to have some, and from what I heard, and I've seen it too. He has some dips in his discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And so, really, that's the only variable I can kind of quantify. You know what I mean? Because it's hours
that would
in the
be
gym.
Something to give an edge to.
Yeah, to Whitaker. Yeah, it's like hours in the gym, hours this, calories in, calories out, those kinds of things. I mean, you can quantify that and understand that, because I can't look at their styles and really, they're really both. I mean, it's any man on any given night on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But the edge on Whitaker for, I think,
so
like that.
Gastelum for Randy, Whitaker for Isaac, but both saying, like, I mean, it could honestly go.
Yeah.
Like, it would not shock you at all if the pick that you didn't go with gets the victory. And one thing that was interesting too about this season of The Ultimate Fighter was there was one of the female fighters who was on Whitaker's team. She wasn't happy at all. One of the reasons was she was on the team where not a lot of the fighters spoke English. So it was a lot of Portuguese and Spanish, and everybody else could kind of understand, but she kind of felt left out. And the other thing too is that she wasn't happy that they were never sparring. They never, the training that she said that they were doing wasn't anywhere near what she expected it to be. Like, it wasn't as difficult. It was a lot of kind of shadow boxing and running and drills that aren't necessarily for like the way that she would prepare for a fight.
Oh, wow.
The way that they would do something to where it's, they're getting into the cage, they're getting sweaty, they're getting bloody, like they're actually, sparring. And they didn't do that at all. And it got to the point where she almost jumped ship over to Gastelum's team. She didn't end up doing it. But that was something that's very telling. And it got to the point where the whole team started to feel that way about the training in Whitaker's camp. And it got to the point where he actually had to sit down with the whole team and tell them, like, if you don't like this, you can leave. Like, I'm a champ, and all of these coaches here have helped me become what I am. All these coaches that are here are what have helped me become the champ. And if you don't like it, or if you don't think you're getting the most out of it, you're welcome to leave. Like, it's no hard feelings. Like, I don't hate you or anything, but you don't need to bring us down. Because ultimately ended up happening is a lot of people on the team, they ended up kind of sparring on their own. Like, they would have kind of some one-on-one grappling going over on this corner, and then somebody would put on mitts, and then they would start doing, and it was just two of the fighters doing it, and they would get yelled at because, like, you're in the way, you got to move. And like, we need to get this work in at some point. So it was just really, like, it was just interesting because that was the first time I think I'd ever really, I mean, I've seen moments where, like, a fighter hasn't liked the training or anything like that, but this one was, the whole team at some point was like, we have a problem here because this was for a champion fighter. Like, he was like, this is what I do. Like, it was weird. Like, well, this is how we'll wrap up this MMA talk. Have you guys ever been or heard of a situation like that where the group as a whole kind of came together and, like, we don't think what the coaches are doing is beneficial, or we're getting the most out of it, and then because I could understand one fighter doing it, maybe, like, they just don't agree, they kind of butt heads. Or whatever. Yeah. Exactly, like that I can see happening frequently. But this was almost as a collective that they all felt this way. So have you ever seen or heard of anything similar to that, where it was like to a coach, where it's like, look, like, something needs to change here?
No. No, there's been stuff where it's been this guy gets bugged or that guy, and it could be fluctuate different times. I'm bugged, he's bugged, but very rarely do you hear everybody's like, at least with group, at least with any of the big groups. I mean, I don't know all places, but
but from what you've been around, Isaac, right, like anything like that ever?
I mean, yeah, you see sometimes there's factions and some things, and people disagree, but never like that. I mean, it happens. I don't see. I guess it happens. It has to happen. I mean, it has to happen. And it's one of those things where I mean, we're all kind of alpha males. You know what I mean? We all have this opinion of how things are supposed to be, and like I have seen stuff like that. I don't want to throw shade. That's a young people term. I learned that. Okay, I want to throw shade.
You just learned throwing shade?
Yeah. I don't want to throw shade, or I don't want to put people's stuff out there. But I've seen a few gyms, and it's one of those things where you get like, okay, a bunch of these fighters, and they'll agree with you, and then this guy starts asking to pay dues, and we don't want to pay dues because we're above that, because we have an amateur record of 0-4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And yeah, you hear little petty things like that. But on a very disciplined professional level, I mean, you hear stuff like Rashad and what's his face and Bones, stuff like that, or
one or two people.
Yeah.
Problems.
Well, I think, and like you said, like, when it comes to the fighting game, you're talking about alpha males, and they're gonna butt heads, and everybody's gonna kind of have their opinion of what they think is going to work best or what they need. And so it's almost expected, I think, frequently for it to happen. Now, whether or not you can get past it and then, everybody kind of comes to an agreement, or if it blows up, like you were saying with the Jones and Rashad Evans thing, where they trained together and it got to the point where they were like mortal enemies at one point because they truly just hated each other that much. So, but yeah, so anyways, if you can go check it out, go watch the previous season of The Ultimate Fighter. I think it was the final season, like, altogether. I think that's the last one because the UFC jumped ship from Fox Sports to ESPN at the beginning of this year. And that was one of the other big stories, was that whole one that, they had Greg Hardy, as he was on that first fight card, the one they had on ESPN Plus that was on the streaming service. Mm-hmm. And Ariel Helwani, like, he called him out, and I give all props to Ariel Helwani to call out ESPN, like, not to call out ESPN because he called out UFC to be like, because he even admitted, he goes, ESPN doesn't make these fights, the UFC does. Oh crap! And I'm already forgetting about the female fighter's name, but she was the one who she went through domestic violence just a few months ago, like in December. And then they put Greg Hardy, a guy who's been busted for domestic violence. And the thing with Greg Hardy is, like, if you read up that police report, it's fucked up shit. Like, if there was videotape, like the way there was of Ray Rice or of the Kareem Hunt incidents, that dude would not be anywhere near anything. Like, but the fact that there's no video, it seems to slide by a little bit easier. But for some reason, the UFC felt that they wanted him for that first ESPN one, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong ways. And I was glad to see that he lost. And granted, I think it was on like a DQ, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like he hit a ground opponent.
Need him in the head.
Yeah, while the guy was on the ground.
Oh, okay.
The guy's on his knees, and then boom, was like, what?
That's super illegal.
And then he goes, what?
Yeah, he's like, what'd I do? What'd I do? I do that to my girlfriends. I mean, what? What? So yeah, but like clearly, like Greg Hardy, not a fucking fan of that guy. That guy's a piece of human garbage. But like that was kind of the big thing now that I think the UFC Ultimate Fighter's done. They've now moved on to ESPN, and hopefully they bring something like that back, because I enjoy watching that kind of stuff where you kind of get to see the fighters who are they're right there, you know, like they're right on the cusp of that UFC contract, or they're right on the cusp of being able to like become a name. And it's unfortunate that they take it away from now, but hopefully it does get brought back. So as we wrap up this edition of MMA Talk, one more time, we'll start here with Randy. He's got the fight coming up here in
23rd.
Nigeria Falls, also known as Niagara Falls. And what was it? When is it?
23rd February.
And it's not live, but it will be available on MAV TV a few weeks afterwards.
About 4 weeks.
Okay. And then, so we got that coming up here for Randy. Isaac, Gorilla MMA, moving next door. So it's basically the same location. But he's moving next door. You got the kids' classes at 5:30, adult classes at 6:30. Open gym Friday.
Open gym Friday and Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, now we got open gym Saturday at noon.
There you go. And at some point, I'll make it back out there. I don't know when yet, because I'm 2 weeks removed from getting cut open. So I might still be another 4 weeks away from being able to do anything at this point.
In Randy's case, though, you would be in the gym sparring with the heavyweight right now.
I wouldn't make you do it. I would do it myself.
Yeah.
So Randy, you're nuts. Like, you're nuts, bro. Yeah. I see a video of him like shadow boxing, moving around like a week after or something. I'm like, what are you doing, Randy? But
you get bored.
Yeah.
Well, but just, like Randy and I were talking before we started this. We were talking about like just being klutzy and just how fucked up that like I've already fallen on my shoulder twice.
Oh man.
Because Isaac knows how klutzy I am, because I fall at the gym.
Yes.
When I'm trying to learn coordination and balance, and I'm stumbling into things. There's one point where I was just walking and I acted like I got really long fucking toes and I kicked a weight just trying to walk over it, and it like split my toe wide open. Like that's my gym injury. It's not like, oh, I was sparring and it was me and this other dude and we were going to no, I kicked a weight. I was walking.
You're the reason I expanded that mat area. I'm gonna.
He's gonna start padding the wall.
Yeah.
He's gonna get those weights with like the foam on them and everything just for me. So, all right. So again, Randy, big fight coming up at the end of the month here in Niagara Falls. Isaac, Gorilla MMA. Give me the info one more time.
It's at Gorilla MMA. And then 915-920-0517. Oh, we do have a new Facebook page coming out. It's gonna be Gorilla Martial Arts, not Gorilla MMA. So
Gorilla Martial Arts.
Yeah.
On that note, wave goodbye, everybody. And say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
everybody.